Hello. I want to start off with a moderately large thank you for the bit of support I've been given on my previous video. I want to address some things really quick. First of all, my microphone issues. My voice definitely sounded kind of pitched weirdly, likely because of my microphone. As for my voice constantly changing throughout the video, I think I was just super anxious, resulting in my voice pitching higher randomly at times. This will probably be an issue in this video, and likely the next few as well, because I'm not entirely used to talking in front of my monitor for 30 minutes straight yet. So, bear with me in the meantime. That all being said, let's talk about Ruin, shall we? In May of 2022, Steelwolf Studios announced that Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach would be given a DLC to be titled Ruin. Slightly over a year later, and Ruin is finally upon us. So, was it worth the wait, or is it another properly rushed piece of FNaF media? Well, the answer mainly depends on who you ask, but in my opinion it was great. The pacing felt a lot better, as well as the general quality and spook factor. I don't think I'll ever actually be scared of FNaF just because of my own obsessions with it, but it was definitely more scary than the base game of Security Breach. I'll divide this into a few sections, as this video will be less structured and more just my general thoughts. A spoiler warning going forward. That being said, let's get into it.
Dun 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 dun.
To start, I enjoy the protagonist, Cassie, way more than I do Gregory. Not to say she's objectively better written or anything, just my own personal takes. Obviously, we don't have too much to go off of for her, but we do know a little bit about her. Cassie's father was a Fazbear technician, Roxy is her favorite character, and she doesn't seem to have any real friends other than Gregory. Cassie doesn't seem to have too much of a relationship with the other three animatronics who aren't Roxy. She seems to know and like them all as characters, but still doesn't try to hurt them the way Gregory did. We get chased by them, and at one point we even have the option to give Chica back her voice box, but other than that, Cassie doesn't seem to have any deep relationships with any of them. Her relationship with her father is unknown.
It's Faz Wrench right before he Faz drinks and Faz beats the shit out of my mom.
All we know about him is that he was a technician and his favorite character was Bonnie. It's theorized that we may possibly be playing as Cassie's father in Help Wanted 2, as it's likely we could be playing as some kind of technician, or just an employee of Fazbear Entertainment in general. We also see the same mechanism featured in Ruin in the trailer, a mechanism which can only be activated with the Faz Wrench. As for her relationship with Roxy, it certainly seems to be more real than Gregory and Freddy's ever was. Cassie's shown to idolize Roxy through some images shown in the AR world. She wears her makeup similar, paints her nails green like Roxy's, and just mimics her general stature and gestures overall. She never tries to hurt Roxy, and Roxy only hunts her throughout the game under the assumption that she's Gregory, who stole her eyes. When she learns Cassie isn't Gregory, she immediately pulls back and apologizes. When we see her next, Gregory tells us that she's the final node, and we have to shut her down. Cassie clearly doesn't want to, and the two share an adorable bonding moment, where Roxy reveals that Cassie's birthday is coming up, and last year no one arrived at her party. Judging by the images we're shown that I mentioned previously, this is likely how she met Gregory, with him cheering her up when she was upset. At the end of the game, Roxy shows up one more time to protect us from who I'll be discussing next. I'm putting Gregory and the Mimic in the same little section here, as even before the game released, it was obvious that Gregory wasn't actually himself, and was rather a pre-existing character, this being the Mimic. Before Ruin, we had yet to see the Mimic properly, only their backstory and appearances shown in the Tales of the Pizzaplex books. To briefly summarize the Mimic's backstory, they were created by a man named Edwin Murray, or Murray? I'm gonna assume Murray, to somewhat watch over his child and be a companion to him. Something that never ends well in this franchise. But the Mimic actually doesn't end up killing this kid, somehow. Instead they bond, and the Mimic starts developing their own software, being able to copy the movements and voice of other characters, and even people. One day the kid, I guess, gets ran over by a van, and Edwin is grief-stricken. He's properly pissed off, and as such beats the shit out of the Mimic when they ask for ice cream, because they were essentially mimicking his son. Edwin channels all of his murderous rage into these beatings, and over time I guess the Mimic just kind of picks it up and kills a bunch of people while dressed in animal suits. The Mimic is also often thought to be Burn Trap and Glitch Trap, which makes the most sense, but it hasn't yet been completely confirmed. In Ruin, the Mimic copies the voice of Gregory, luring Cassie down. As the two are shown to be close, Gregory likely being Cassie's only real friend. The Mimic tricks Cassie into activating the security nodes put in place to conceal it, and as such sets them free. Another character important to the story is MXES, the program made to conceal the mimic. Throughout the game, it tries to stop us from doing this by alerting animatronics, yet never actually hurts us, and isn't inherently hostile. The real Gregory calls us towards the end, informing us that he was never in the Pizzaplex, and that something was trying to lure Cassie down there. This is where we reach our endings, but before that, there's one more character I want to talk about, as well as this character's relationship with others. One of the biggest mysteries in the first game was the strange absence of Bonnie. It was explained that the character had been decommissioned, and as such, Fazbear Entertainment took down everything to do with him. In this DLC, we actually get to see what Glamrock Bonnie looked like, and in my opinion, he's absolutely adorable. Silly little guy, look at him! We learn through a story told on a Monty-themed ride that Bonnie, at least according to Fazbear Entertainment, retired, passing on his place in the band of Monty. This could be true, or it could be completely false and a cover-up. Either way, we can find Bonnie's broken body by deactivating all of the wet floor signs in the AR mode, and he was definitely intentionally destroyed by someone, judging by the claw marks in his stomach. This could be Monty, the Mimic, or anyone else really. We also learned that Bonnie and Freddy are very good roommates, something that was already alluded towards in the first game, Freddy mentioning his sorrow at the loss of Bonnie and how much he misses him. We see more alluding to their close friendship as Bonnie keeps a signed poster from him reading, "You and me forever and ever, love Freddy." He also seemingly has his entire little area filled with Freddy memorabilia, whereas every other character only has their own merchandise in their own rooms. There are a lot of things and clues hinting towards a deep relationship between the two, at least deeper than the other animatronics seem to have with each other. So much so that I actually plan on making a video about Bonnie as well as his relationship with Freddy and possibly even Monty. Now, I think we should have a look at the endings.
It's a new day. It's your time to shine. It's time to take your career into your own hands.
I believe there are 3 endings to this DLC, the elevator ending, the scooper ending, and the Brazil ending. We'll talk about the Brazil ending first because it's the shortest and least likely to be the canon ending. To trigger this ending, the player has to equip the Vanny mask in front of a Fredbear cutout seen while running from the Mimic at the end of the game. After this, we see a glitchy image of Gregory, Helpy, and Vanessa, free and enjoying their time together. In case it wasn't obvious, this is not real, and is likely Cassie stuck in the augmented reality. The ending name in the files, Brazil, also alludes to this, as it is most likely a reference to a movie of the same name, in which a man finds himself often in his own daydreams. Great movie, by the way. The next ending is harder to achieve than the other 2, this being the scooper ending. To get this ending, you have to unlock doors on the cameras and run through them when running from the Mimic. In this version, the Mimic is wearing a strange amalgamation of all the outfits worn in the books, and we escape to a room, in which we push a button and the Mimic gets scooped away, dismantled. The final and most commonly achieved ending is the elevator ending. In this ending, we escape the Mimic and get in an elevator to leave. Gregory speaks to us over the intercom, telling us how we set the Mimic free by deactivating the nodes and trapping MXES, and we can't risk being followed, implying he is with Vanessa, or Vanessa and Freddy. After this, the elevator falls all Bendy Chapter 3-esque, and Cassie screams before the credits roll. When the credits end, we hear Roxy calling to us, implying that Cassie likely did not die from the fall. Now, many people have already pointed this out, but I do not believe that the Gregory who betrays us is the real Gregory. This is likely the Mimic yet again, as one of their audio cues plays before Gregory starts talking all sinister-like. The captions also separate the 2 voices as different characters. There are other clues to evidence that this is not Gregory betraying us, as well as just the overall fact that Gregory and Cassie seemed pretty close in nature. Now, we don't know for certain which of these endings is canon, similar to how we weren't sure which security breach ending was canon. We know now that it's almost certainly the Princess Quest ending, as Vanessa being free is important to the story, as well as the fact that there's a severe lack of burn trap, and the fact that the Princess Quest arcade machines are destroyed, and that you can see the sword in the AR world. So, the story. Just what the hell is happening here, and why is every single ending such a massive cliffhanger, even more so than the original security breach? Following the freeing of Vanessa, her and Gregory seem to trauma bond pretty closely, and both decide that they need to trap the threats of the Pizzaplex. Vanessa decides to create a program that will contain the Mimic and stop anyone who tries to free them. Her and Gregory return to the Pizzaplex and set it up together. And must I say, Vanessa is quite the queen when it comes to designing sick-ass fucked-up rabbits. Look at this little guy. Gregory likely colors and does other things to occupy his time while he's there. He creates comics depicting the other endings. A lot of people wonder why he would draw his best friend constantly getting dismantled in most of these endings. However, I'm pretty sure there's a reason for this. Gregory doesn't want to see Vanny and Vanessa as the same person, and as such, he tries to separate them as much as possible in these comics. This explains why in one of the endings, Vanessa is seen looking down at Vanny. Gregory wants to cement that to him, they are separate people, and Vanessa is not defined by what she did as Vanny. Vanessa and Gregory successfully set up the software and leave. The two are likely accompanied by Freddy's head as well. Now, the cliffhangers are certainly very confusing, so I'm gonna throw my predictions out into the water and see if they have enough substance to float for a while. I believe the elevator ending is the canon one, with the mimic trapping us deeper down in the Pizzaplex. Roxy likely finds us after this, and this could possibly be setting up another chapter of the DLC, or possibly even a sequel to Security Breach, one in which we play as Cassie traveling with Roxy, escaping the Pizzaplex. There are plenty of events that could take place in this theoretical game, such as Cassie restoring the other animatronics, as she had given Chica her voice box, and seems rather sympathetic towards them. She could perhaps find a way to set the nodes back up, and this could serve as the stealth and puzzle section of the game. Gregory may return to the Pizzaplex to find us, possibly with Vanessa and Freddy, and maybe we would have the Mimic be our main threat, having an epic boss battle with them towards the end. Who knows really, maybe this plotline will be further touched upon in Help Wanted 2, coming later this year, and holy hell, I'm so excited for that. But this seems to be the basis of where we are. So, here are my thoughts and opinions, because I know that is definitely very important to all of you, and I will cry if you say otherwise.
Oh, skibidi dop dop dop, yes, yes.
Personally, I found Ruin to be amazing, similar to a large amount of the community. It feels like we are truly in the modern age of Five Nights at Freddy's. There's so much to love about this game, from the increased attention to detail, the gameplay, the characters, the story, all of it. At first I wasn't too fond of the Mimic, but the community reaction has caused me to grow on them, as well as the fact that they wouldn't be a threat in the slightest if some random kid didn't get hit by a van. They're just very silly to me, along with MXES. I love how Human Steel Wool has been making the animatronic characters seem, with full awareness and personalities. It reminds me of the early days of FNaF, full of comics and fanfictions where the animatronics all hung out and were sentient without children possessing them, or those stupid Truth or Dare SFM videos. It feels like we're back in the glory days of FNaF in general. The other day I literally fell for a hoax clip of Glamrock Bonnie's voice, for like a full 5 minutes. That hasn't happened to me in years. The community feels like it's buzzing yet again, and while some people may have differing opinions, I feel like the community feels properly resurrected. Steel will honestly step their game up a lot from their previous game, and has learned from their mistakes, and personally, I can't wait to see what they have in store for the future. So there are my thoughts on Ruin. I originally planned on getting this video out like a week ago, but if you've seen my community post, you know there were complications. Once again, I know next to nothing about video creation and editing and stuff like that, and I'm trying to save up for a new microphone, so hopefully my voice isn't so all the time. Thank you for the support that I've gotten so far. While I know it hasn't been very much in the grand scheme of things, it means a lot to me. Thank you so much. I've been quinnamon, and my state is on fire yet again. Bye!